Well, there's the clock on the wall telling me that it's 9 o'clock. So I guess it's, well, actually, I'm turning around and looking at it. I haven't changed that clock yet. So it's only going to ring 8 times. Hey, Ponca, how are you this morning? Yeah, you had to tell me that if you listen to the chimes there, it's only going to chime 8 times because I turned around and looked at the clock. I noticed I haven't changed it yet, so I'm gonna have to change that particular wall clock over there. Well, I hope everybody's doing fine this morning. Everybody's lost their hour of sleep. All my notifications coming in on the everything. Yeah, sorry about all that. I should have cut all my notifications off there, but my email notifications pop in there and make a lot of noise. I hope everybody's doing fine. This week has not been too wild, I'll say. It has been fairly normal in the trucking. I haven't pushed my hair down there a little bit. What little bit I got left here, I got my hair sort of standing up there a little bit. I had to do my makeup here. I don't know if it's going to do any good. Kind of hard to make a. What was the old saying? Said you put a pig in a tuxedo, it's still a pig, you know. So I guess I'm sort of like the old pig trying to put a pig in a tuxedo. But this week has not been too eventful. It's been pretty good. Was pretty steady on some things. We got us another driver hired, hopefully up here for the Charlotte area. We're going to put on a dedicated Atlanta run, and then the shop. We've been busy in the shop trying to get a few items out. We got a transmission that we've got to get. We're putting a transmission in one, and of course we've got some repairs to do on the truck that a gentleman wrecked a couple of weeks ago. We haven't started on that yet, and you know, all in all, we're still finding the gorge is still messing us up a little bit. We've got two of our routes that we've had to route around the gorge problems. Hopefully next week we won't do that because I'm kind of tired of going to Hurricane, West Virginia. We've got a Chicago butthead that we do, and we've switched it off to. No, it's not really picking up. It's a little bit when people start getting the returns and everything. I think the economy as a whole starts picking up. Uh, you know, this year I think a little bit of it's been delayed because some people didn't get their tax returns started as quickly because of you know, the government shutdown and a few things like that kind of slowed down tax returns. And you know, as I say, I don't know. I'm usually filing an extension, so I don't worry about the tax return as much as you know, in business and everything. A lot of times we have to file an extension because ours is pretty complicated, and we take it on out as far as we can on taxes. I don't always have mine completely finished by April 15th, and you know, it's a little more complicated than the average person's taxes. So when you've got, in my case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 corporations. So with 5 corporations involved, it's a little bit hairy. So I don't have the luxury of being able to get my taxes back as quickly as some people do. And hey, how are you, Chris? I see y'all are still working on the buildings and everything. You keeping Ricky busy out there? Well, usually the write-off tips and everything you're talking about, Paco, it's a lot of it's common sense. A lot of it is, if it's necessary items that you need within your business, you just need to retain all the receipts because usually some form of that is tax deductible, and that's what you need to do on most of that. And now some of it with large equipment you can do. There's a uh, the thing that helps the best or the most is depreciation. So if you buy something large, and you can actually depreciate that out. So depreciation is probably the biggest factor within a business that you can deduct. Uh, I mean, like when I buy large trucks, we're able to depreciate that over a 4 or 5 year period and get a lot of that off written off of the taxes. So items that are depreciable are way better than just the average item. Now, like my tools and things like that, we can deduct that off the taxes, but the depreciable part is the part that I like the best. I mean, if you go out and buy a $50,000 truck or $100,000 truck, you can depreciate that over like a 5 year period, and then the assets you can take that off of your taxes. Now, some of them even I think you can depreciate like a one time depreciation and take all of the tax off of say an item in uh, 1 year. So if you need a lot of tax uh, to be able to defer a good bit of tax, you can buy an item, and then if you wanted to, some things you can depreciate in 1 year, and that helps sometimes. Of course, once you do that, of course, it's gone. In other words, if you decide that you need it, but it works good to be able to do that. Yeah, yeah, farm equipment's like that too, Chris, and that. Hey, Tim, how are you? Uh, and that's what helps farmers, truckers, any kind of businessmen like that. Now, I wish I could depreciate more items off at the Napa store. Unfortunately, there's fewer items that I can depreciate there. Hey, Greg, how are you this morning? Uh, but yeah, just you've got to think about, and we do this every year, about buying the right assets so you can depreciate it. I mean, one item that I did get this year for the Napa store, I bought a telehandler. Um, right at the end of the year, I decided I need to get I could use another depreciation item, so I bought a telehandler for the Napa store, and well, I can do it for my trucks or whatever. And it's well like a great all. I know a lot of y'all guys know JC, and it's very much like what JC has. Good lift. I'm able to. I was using the heck out of it Friday. We were able to obtain a great deal on some shelving from Napa. Napa is moving uh, their DC, their district office in Charlotte, to a new location, and they're tearing down some of their old shelving, and I was able to get that for pennies on the dollar, and they had it in a trailer, and I was able to get that, and plus they had a couple other items on there, and I ended up buying that. They had a couple of pallets that they didn't have a chance to get off, and I went in and bought a pallet of antifreeze and a pallet of dry down and a pallet of asphalt, I believe it was, the dry asphalt. So they came out pretty good too because they were able to set up repurposing or putting that stuff back in the inventory, and it was some older inventory. I was able to buy it at a bargain price, and everything works out good. Then I can use it for my store and those kind of things. You kind of have to wheel and deal a little bit. uh, Well, even the used items like that, Chris, are depreciable. I mean, because it may be old, but it's depreciable even if it's yours. Uh, I know the previous owner depreciated it all out, but you can still depreciate it out. I'm gonna move this camera. I'm right in between these two windows, and I didn't have the curtain pulled. I should pull the curtains behind there. But you know, you need to look at every item any large item that you buy. You need to sort of look at that to see what's depreciable and everything, because um, now I don't have bulk tanks. Basically, now I've got bulk tanks for my tractors. My I buy oil in bulk for my tractors. I've got two different things, one in both shops, that I buy bulk oil because I buy it pretty cheap. I can buy like the Rotella and everything way cheaper in bulk than I can uh, through by the gallon or the 55-gallon drum or whatever. So yeah, I buy that in bulk, and then of course I've got a bulk uh, on the return too when I'm taking oil out for my furnaces and everything. I've got two furnaces. I've got the clean burn furnaces that I use to burn the used oil in. So I've got that, and we uh, uh, heat the shop. So I'm recycling. They ought to be happy with me. I'm recycling oil. Yeah, I get differential oil, and usually we just get it in I'm going to say about a 30 gallon container. I don't get it in the I don't get it, or maybe a 55-gallon drum for the differential. Uh, I don't use as much on the differential, so I think I get it in I think it's a 30-gallon pail. And then of course we have the 5 gallons over at the store too. So if I need it, I'm always carrying the 5 gallon pail of the differential oil and that kind of stuff. Now, Chris, I wanted to tell you, and I wanted to ask you now: have you picked up on my radio show? I gave you the address and everything. Let me. I'm gonna put it on here again in case some of y'all, because I'm working on that this morning too. Let me see if I can put. I'm gonna put the address of my radio show. And that will be on Tuesday mornings between 10 and 12. And you can pick that up worldwide, because he's got the streaming. If you want to listen to it, you may or may not want to listen to it. I don't know. It just depends. I'm playing oldies from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And, I've got, you hadn't got a chance to listen to it yet. Well, sometime maybe you'll be able to listen to it. And you can listen to, and the show we got, I'll type that in there. It's called. Oops, not cursing. I'm about to misspell something. Hmm. That's the name of the show. It's Cruising the Carolinas with Mike, and I'm on from 10 to 12. And now, if you live in North Carolina and you're close to me, which I don't know how many people are that close to me, it's on WLON AM and FM. And WO. OHS, AM and FM. And so I'll put put that on there in case y'all happen to listen to it between, like I said, between 10 and 12 on Tuesday morning. So I'm kind of plugging my radio show on my YouTube show. So if you want to do that, I'll show you how I'm multi-talented, or lack of. But I used to be in my younger days. I used to be a DJ. I used to own a radio station in my younger days, and actually one of these stations. Well, I do too. I play a lot of, I like, an upbeat rock and roll is what I like. I don't try to get too many sad ballads or anything on there. I like for somebody to be able cruising music. That's the reason why I call it Cruising with Mike. I mean, I'm just got in my mind what the music that I used to listen to as I was growing up, and when I was out cruising in a car, whether it was on a Saturday night or Friday night, or whatever it was, when I'm out just cruising, or it could be during the daytime, just out and enjoying yourself and enjoying riding in a car and listening to music. And that's sort of the framework, you might say, of the show. So if you aren't listening at that time and on the World Wide Web, you can go to ktcbroadcasting.com and you can click on their live stream on it's got WOHS or WLON, those two. He's got 3 stations actually, WCSL, and of course I'm an advertiser for my Napa store on all 3. And then he and I worked out a deal on this, that I produce a show and I get a little bit more advertising. Of course, I told my wife, I said, for the amount of work I put in on the show, it'd been way cheaper just to pay for extra advertising. But I'm enjoying the show too. Let me get this light straightened out a little bit. So I'm trying to do that also. But that along with the trucking and the Napa store and everything else, and the Napa store is really getting better at the new location, and I guess hopefully the advertising and a few other things we're doing is getting really good. We're going to have a grand opening on April the 12th, so I'm going to be really busy. We're trying to line up a band and a lot of other things. But we're trying our best to have it a very entertaining grand opening. So I've got about a month to work on that and get all that lined up, so we can. We're going to have a tool truck out there. Napa's got a special tool truck that I think it's a tractor trailer truck that they're going to bring out. I've got one of the local guys. I've got to see if I can get a hold of Doug Herbert. I don't know if I can get him or not, but I talked to him last year about bringing his drag car out. He's got one that big dragster that he does, and if he can come out, I'd like to see if he can do that. I don't know if he can or not. He's a pretty busy man, but bring him out, and then we're going to have food and balloons and just a lot of festivities. And our Cherry Blossom Festival for Cherryville is actually going on that same weekend. So I hope I can get some residual effect from that also. Yep, a grand opening. I'm going to have it grand opening. I mean, we've got a lot more inventory now. When I first moved into the store, we didn't have the major inventory that we've been working on and everything that we have. And now we've got the store looking really good, I think. And, we want to have a grand opening and invite everybody out to see our facility and see what we actually can offer the community and those sort of things, and advertise that. And that, hopefully that will help us. And, you always give a little free gift, free gifts here and there and that sort of stuff. Yep, we're hoping we have the best Napa store in the South. the district managers really like our store, so I'm real. Uh, the the general manager for the district, I guess you might say, him and a lot of the rest of them, they really like it because I got the Napa blue floor, and I've done a lot of remodeling geared around Napa's colors and themes, and plus I have I've got a Napa hood off of Chase Elliott's car in my store, and a Napa quarter panel. I hadn't got that up yet, and then also a Napa fire suit. I hadn't got that up yet, but my friend that actually used to fuel for Chase Elliott when he was on the Infinity series. Uh, well, I think it was Nationwide then. He was actually the gas man for uh, Chase, and he gave me his fire suit to so I can display that. And it's a huge one too because he's 6'7", and he's a big old boy. But he still is with Hendricks. He the gas man for the 24 car. So he'll be out there today gassing up William Byron and everything. So I've got him on some of my commercials and a few things like that too. So we're trying to blend in. Since NASCAR is so big in this area, I like to be able to take advantage of knowing a lot of these NASCAR guys, and especially with the Napa connection too, and that comes in handy. We go down to Napa has our a lot of corporate meetings at Hendrick Motorsports. I'll have to shoot some videos of that sometime and put that up because it shows we have to go in the entry that shows all the thing shows the four different cars and everything that they sponsor. The Hendrick Motorsports sponsors. It shows that when you go into Hendrick Motorsports, pretty neat. They got a heck of a complex down there in Charlotte. It's it's pretty impressive. It's only about quarter mile from Charlotte Motor Speedway, quarter or half mile from Charlotte Motor Speedway. As you get off interstate, you go by all the Hendrick complexes. He's got car dealerships on both sides of the road, and he's got he must have bought. I'm going to say he must have 1,000 acres or better in that complex of all of his car dealerships, and then his buildings and everything for his shops. And he's got a big lake down there and a helipad where the helicopters can fly in and out, and just a lot of different things. So it's a very impressive location. I mean, it's nice, and it's the landscape is beautiful, of course, and all that sort of stuff. And it's open to the public. I mean, if you're ever in the Charlotte area, you can go down there, and they've got a nice gift shop and everything else. So it's pretty neat. Yeah. It's if you're talking about Rick Hendricks, yeah, he's got a lot of things. He has way more than I've got, that's for sure. But yeah, but it's a pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive situation. Quarter inch, or now they used to have. They got one called a shady side down here. I have a nephew that actually uh, owns a car. I don't know if they're still doing it this year, but for a couple of years, if you're into drag racing, there was a TV show called The Moonshiners a couple of years ago, and they actually owned the car and was sponsored by the Moonshiners. If you know of that, Chris, I'm not big into that, so I don't know anything about it. But they got a shady, I believe it's called Shady Side Drag Strip, and then the biggest sanctioned drag strip would probably be Brockenham, which is on the other side of Charlotte. That's the biggest one that the big national guys go to, and of course, Charlotte too. What am I thinking about? Right there, right near Charlotte Motor Speed, right beside Charlotte Motor Speedway, they got the great big one. That's the biggest one. I wasn't even thinking about it. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know the Moonshiners. Uh, I'm not familiar with that. I don't even know if the show's still on the air or not. Uh, I'm not big into that reality show. I have never seen it. My I've seen the car. Like I said, my nephew owned the car, Jones and Son Enterprises, and they sponsored it, owned the car, and had a driver and everything for that. And the Moonshiners was his sponsor, or some sort of deal. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know who owned the. I I'm really out of the loop on that. Now, I don't think he's doing that anymore because it got to be very very expensive. I think, and but he was running a I want to say a pro stock or something like that. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. We got something way more than Memphis Motorsports. Yeah, the four wide down in Charlotte is huge. I mean, that's where I've gone down to see Ron Capps and all those guys. Yeah, they got the four wide down there where they're running four cars at the same time. I think there's only two places. I think Vegas and that are the only two places that actually do that. Uh, and it's a huge track down there, and that's a big event, and they do that twice a year. Uh, I in Charlotte, and that's only about 35 miles from me right now, so that's not too far at all. Yeah, yeah, that yeah, I guess so. I'm not familiar with that TV show. Is it still on? I don't even know if it's still on or not. I know that he used to. Like I said, I'm gonna take me a short swig here of my drink, my diet Mountain Dew. I'm on diet, not the full fledged thing. Uh, oh, it's still on. Okay, well, I'm not familiar with that, but anyway, they sponsored or were tied in with that for several years. I don't, like I said, I don't think he does it anymore because it got fairly expensive because he was running a pro stock. He was running a pro stock, and he's at the level that uh, you either have to get bigger. I mean, he was running a lot of small tracks, and he was blowing them away on these smaller tracks. I mean, he's winning everything right and left. You know, he would go to the local half mile track or quarter mile track, and you know, of course, he's flying down the track and has to throw out the parachute and the whole thing. I mean, it's a big time. And sometimes I think the tracks weren't even good enough for his car because you know you get too small of a track. I mean, not good as in that respect. Other safe, you know. So it's something else. The Super Chevy Show. Okay. Yeah, yeah, and you got to like NASCAR. I mean, NASCAR was such a element in this area. I mean, all the major. I mean, Bobby Isaac used to hang out in a little store here in my hometown, Cherryville. I mean, he actually dated a girl, I think, here in Cherryville, and then you know he'd be at the local service station, hanging out, talking to people, you know, talking to guys. Uh, then David Pearson lived in Spartanburg, and of course Richard Petty over Randleman, and all these towns, and then Ned Jarrett and Dale Jarrett and all them from Hickory, and all these towns were within 30 miles of me, 30 or 40 miles, and right around the Charlotte area. Uh, so there was a lot of celebrities, I guess you would call. They were local celebrities and national celebrities too. But the roots of NASCAR got started here in the Charlotte area, and so I guess that's where the love for NASCAR is is rooted in this area really hard and deep, I guess you might say, because it was our local slash national sport, way more than any other sport would be in this area. So So it was big time for us. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing about NASCAR here. I mean, NASCAR here, years. I mean, I've got pictures of me in the pits talking with David Pearson and Kel Yarborough and Richard Petty, and they were as friendly as they could be. I could just talk like you and I are talking right now. I would just go up to them and do my thing and just shake their hands and talk about whatever and listen to their conversation and it wasn't big time out of your way at all. And then years ago, Humpy Wheeler, who was the promoter and the president of Charlotte Motor Speedway, came up to a shop here in Cherryville, Frank Hebner. And Frank Hebner used to be a mechanic for Ned Jarrett and Ned Setzer and a few other racers. And I was able to, that's when I owned a newspaper and the radio station and everything. And they called me out and we had a big time interview with them and just a lot of local and good feeling stuff. And what was pretty neat. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't see them at Walmart much, but yeah, used to be, we would see them more local than we do now. The guys that are in NASCAR now are more. They're not so much from Charlotte like they used to be. I mean, like I said, David Pearson grew up in Spartanburg. I mean, he grew up and was raised in Spartanburg. Uh, Jimmy Johnson and Brad Keselowski and Matt Kenseth and the only one that really grew up in this area is Dale Jr. That's currently running right now. I can't. Well, I mean, even Dale Jr. is retired now, but the there's a difference of what's going on now and what used to go on. I mean, it was a lot. I mean, Kel Yarborough was from Timminsville, which is down near Darlington. So all these guys actually grew up and started in the Charlotte area, or I say the Charlotte area. It's about a 150 mile radius around Charlotte. Most of these guys actually grew up in this area. And that's the difference between the way it used to be and the way it is now, because I don't know very many that are on the circuit right now that are from Charlotte, the Charlotte area now. I mean, even like Chase Elliott. Now, a lot of them live in the Charlotte area. I mean, a lot of them have big homes out at the lake area, over Lake Norman or Lake Wiley and some places like that, some of those big high-end homes down there. But as far as actually living in the Charlotte area, I don't know how many of them are, well, as far as from the Charlotte area, let me rephrase that actually grew up in Charlotte. William Byron actually is probably the only one I know. William Byron is from Charlotte. He grew up in Charlotte, and that's the one that works at Hendricks. One my buddy fuels for. William Byron is from Charlotte, and he would probably be the only one that's classed as a real local boy, because the other guys that you see out there on the circuit right now are from all over the United States. I mean, from California. I mean, there's 3-4 of them from California, Washington State, Michigan. Joey Logano, I think, is from up in the Connecticut area. And see, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Well, I can't. You'd have to look it up yourself. There's not very many of them in respect to the way it used to be. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, it used to be that most of them that raced in this area. I mean, there might be a few Georgia boys and guys from Tennessee or Virginia and a few places like that. Like Rick Mass was from Virginia, and I'm trying to think who else. And Jimmy Means was from Alabama, and then of course the Alabama gang. The Allison brothers. They were from Alabama, and guys like that. But then it started getting really spread out nationwide, and like I said, then you got the likes of Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon and Matt Kenseth, and all these are from all over the United States that have come to drive at NASCAR. So it doesn't have the. I mean, it still has a closeness because it's still rooted right here in North Carolina, and the NASCAR Hall of Fame, of course, is down in Charlotte, which is real neat to see if you ever have a chance. And you can see the history of NASCAR down there. And then you've got, like I said, a lot of the shops, Hendrick's shop, Roush's shop, Petty's shop. They're either in Charlotte or Mooresville, which is just north of Charlotte, about 25 or 30 miles. Mooresville is, they call that Race City because Dale Jr. has a shop up there. I'm trying to think who else has a shop. There's several. I can't think who all does, but they're either right around the Charlotte the Charlotte Motor Speedway area, or either up in Mooresville. That's the two areas that a lot of, and there's a few up in the Statesville area too. So right up 77 and everything like that. So within a short while they're in there. No, I don't think I'm going to get into politics. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. From Chattanooga and Jackson. Okay. Could be. Now, I know Stenhouse is from Memphis, Tennessee area. He's from down there. Actually, he's in the Mississippi. What's that little town right south of Memphis? Trying to think of it. It's just right across the state line. Right, it's almost Memphis. It's like south of Memphis. A little bit of town. I can't even think the name of it now off the top of my head. But that's where Ricky Stenhouse is from. So he's what is that little town? Now that baffles me. It's a I can't think of it. No, it's not Jackson, Mississippi. No, it's a small town. I mean, it's like a suburb of Memphis almost, because we have a terminal there, and I used to have to stop there when I ran through years ago when I ran through Memphis. I can't think of it. It'll pop in my head after a while. When I can't remember anything else, that will probably pop in my head. But that's where Stenhouse is, from over that area. But getting back on the trucking end, let me get back. I'm not a NASCAR channel. I guess I turned into one for a few minutes. But as far as the trucking and the Napa store and everything goes, it ran out pretty soon. You got several sprint car wings, but nothing from NASCAR. Well, hey, Doug, how are you this morning? No, it's not West Memphis, Arkansas. It's south. What I was talking about, it's actually in Mississippi. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm trying to think of the name of that little town. Well, it's not really little. It's a pretty good sized town, but it's south of Memphis. I mean, West Memphis, Arkansas is basically Memphis across the river. And what is the name of that little town? Can't think. I'd have to get my all the. I tell you what I ought to do. I ought to just ask Google. Google will tell me everything. Watch this. Let's see if Google's smart enough. Ricky Stenhouse. Now, it'll tell me. Okay. Okay. It'll tell me about Ricky Stenhouse. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Let's see if I can hit the old Wikipedia there, and hopefully it'll tell me where he's from. Well, it says Memphis, Tennessee. There's where he was born, but that's not where he lived. Now you might know that he Olive Branch. There we go. Olive Branch, Tennessee. Olive Branch, Mississippi. I knew it's a hard one to remember for some reason. But anyway, he's from Olive Branch, Mississippi. So you still kicking rocks, Doug? Yeah, Olive Branch, Mississippi. You know where that is, Chris? That's where Ricky Stenhouse is. And I knew it. We have a terminal there at Olive Branch, Mississippi. That I always used to hate it. They would route me through. I used to have a triangle run, and they would. It was going from Charlotte to Orlando, from Orlando to Memphis, and Memphis back into Charlotte. And they would route me through Olive Branch on the way up, and that would delay you an extra hour and a half, 2 hours, because you'd have to go in, drop a trailer, get dispatched out with another empty or another load going on over to Chattanooga, and they basically make you do one of their little local runs almost, and then you drive another 30 miles to get over to the terminal at Memphis. So if you hit it at the wrong time of the day or night, then it would really bog you down. So it was not the best thing to do. What's going on with you, Doug? I hadn't heard. Have to inform us. I haven't seen you out here much lately. I hadn't got to keep up with what was going on with you. You and the missus. I see. Are you in intensive care? What am I missing there? I haven't heard. And I hope that nothing serious. Oh, good gracious. I hate to hear that. You got stage 3 cancer. Okay. I haven't heard that at all. I hope it's not too bad serious. Well, at least it's not stage 4 cancer. I mean, maybe they can catch it. And I don't know what part of your body you've got it in and everything, but that's never a good thing. A cancer in any location of your body is not a good thing. I hope you're able to get the right treatment. Okay, I'll have to do that. I'll check out your last video and everything. Yeah, I'm sort of like Chris. When did you find that out? I didn't catch the last video. I've been busy. Yeah. Well, I guess you explained that on there, but I hate to hear that, because that does throw a damper on everything. I mean, as we all get older out here, we're all gonna, like the old saying goes, we're not gonna get out of this world alive. About a month and a half ago. I hate to hear that. It's well, I hope you can get it contained or operated on, or they can give you the right treatment. Cancer treatment today is way better than it was years ago. I mean, years ago, it was. I mean, they do. I remember I lost both of my grandfathers with cancer, and it was years ago. Back no, that's back. I lost my first granddad in 50. I, I think it was 1959 is when he died. 58 or 59, maybe 57. I have to double check. But I was about 6 years old, and it, like I said, it was terrible. I mean, when he got it, and then he was gone within just a month or so, and then my other granddad, he got it, and he suffered with he had throat cancer, and they had to take out his larynx. And he had to use one of the little speakers and everything, and that was really tough on him. But he survived about a year and a half, 2 years with that throat cancer until it spread. Of course, now that was back in the late 60s, or well, early 70s, I think. But since then, I've had some friends that have had cancer and gotten it and treated, and it's way more hopeful than it used to be. Of course, now I noticed on TV this week they were showing that even Alex Trebek has he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and stage 4 is way worse on anything. Yeah, I mean it's uh, what if you don't mind saying what part of the body is where do you have the cancer at? Is uh, I mean, there's a variety. Is it lung cancer, or is it throat, or esophagus, or I hope not pancreatic? It's in your neck. Okay, okay. So well, maybe they can that in some ways is if they can get that in the neck. That's my granddad had similar, and he had to have his larynx taken out. And like I said, they were able to treat that and do pretty good with him for a good while. In other words, but the last few years of his life, he had to. Uh, yeah, oh, you have it on both sides, Doug. Yeah. Well, maybe they can. So you got throat cancer then on both sides. And that's and maybe they can get that out. Now has if it hasn't gotten into the lymph nodes, or they've had to probably take some of your lymph nodes out and everything, if it's in your throat, near throat area. That's usually some of the. I remember the treatment of my granddad, Wade. He was, and that was some of his treatment. Oh, it's in your lymph nodes. Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe they'll be able to take some of that out and and get to that and get you treated and everything. Yeah, I didn't. I guess Chris was asking if you were a smoker. Of course, that's what got my granddad. He was a smoker, and that is one of the signs. It gets into you get throat cancer and lung cancer and a few other things. Smoking, and yeah, yeah. I hate to hear it. I mean, I mean, that's one thing. I guess there's two things in my life that scared me straight. Hey, Montana, how are you? There's two things in my life that sort of scared me straight. My granddad on my mother's side, he was an alcoholic, and I saw the things that happened to him, and that kept me from ever wanting to drink. And then both of my granddads, one of them died of lung cancer, and one of them died of throat cancer, and that both of them, you know, had, those years they were smokers and chewed tobacco and a few things, and that kind of kept me. Very cold there. Well, I hate to tell you. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll let Google tell you what it's going to be like here today, Montana. Let me holler at my Google over here. Okay, Google, weather.
Currently in Cherryville, it's 44 and cloudy. Today, it'll be cloudy with a forecasted high of 70 and a low of 44.
It's going to be up to 70 degrees here today. 44 right now, and it's going to be up to 70. So yeah, we're going to have a nice day here today. And actually, the sun is popping out. Something I haven't seen in weeks. It seems like.
Right now in Cherryville, it's 44 and cloudy. Today, it'll be cloudy with a forecasted high of 70 and a low of 44.
Yep. My Google told me on that end too. Yeah, it's gonna be nice here today, 70 degrees. I'm gonna be tickled to be able to. Let me kind of turn this around. I may have to. Let me change seats a little bit. I'm gonna have to. Let me rearrange this a little bit. Whoops, excuse me, guys. Let me move the old laptop here and me around so the sun doesn't blare right into my. Let me see if it's. Whoa, now I'm darker though, aren't I? I don't know if that's any better or worse. Let me see. I'm just going to get up and walk around here a second. get over here where I'll get over here where the sun is not shining as brightly. And let's see if I can do that. Get over here with another area. If y'all like looking at my wife's stuff in the background there, she's got dishes and everything displayed there. Yeah, I know. I couldn't. I don't think I could take the weather in Montana. That's for sure. I wouldn't. I wouldn't mind visiting the area in the spring and the summer, but or probably just the summertime. But I'm not going to be big on getting real cold like that. I'm more interested in the warmer weather. But to each his own. I mean, we're lucky. The United States is a lovely area anyway. I mean, all parts of the United States. I'll take. Let me see if I can't get the. I'm trying to get the lighting so it doesn't look so either dark or. I hope that comes through pretty good there, guys. Let me don't cut off the top of my head there either. But I'm glad to live in this part of the United States. We've got 4 seasons good out here, real good. I mean, you can tell the difference between summer and spring and fall and winter and everything. And our winters are not too harsh out here. That's one thing I do like about it. We've had just a little bit of snow this year, not much at all. We had some back in December and a little bit here and there, but not much at all. And it's first year that the school kids haven't. They actually had they're going to have a longer Easter vacation because of that. Yeah. You're thinking about doing some changes now. Where are you based in Montana for your trucking, Montana Humminbird? Are you? Of course, if you're doing over the road and you're living out on the road mostly, I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, where your home base. I mean, of course, home base is always home base. I mean, where you like to lay your head down permanently is, or semi-permanently, if you're an over-the-road trucker, it's still important. Well, thank you, Greg. I I try to just, it's just a, we're just laid back and talk about anything y'all guys want to talk about, and some of the things that I want to talk about, and just give you a little viewpoint of what we're doing. I hope that we're interesting. If not, of course, you don't have to, like the old saying goes, if you don't like what we've got, just turn the channel, I guess. But hopefully we can, we're hitting on subjects that people want to talk about and listen to. That's what it's all about with these YouTube channels, I think, because you want to be able to converse with the people. Yeah, we're trying to get a few more in here every once in a while. I get them popping in and out, and the channel's growing a little bit. I'm not a huge channel yet, but I'm getting a few more here and there, and more truckers and people that this kind of thing that want to converse with us and everything. So it is what it is. As long as we can do something that it's entertaining with people, and we have a clean channel that people aren't jumping up and down and fussing and fighting and everything, I'm fine. Yeah, that's basically it. Like-minded folks and everything. I like to have a happy channel. I like to have a channel that you can think good thoughts about, and think about the economy, think about what you want to do, and think of I've got a lot of things. I try to stay busy myself, like. Yeah. Well, I try to be good-hearted on this. I mean, it's tough sometimes. I mean, sometimes in my real life, I have to be firm with some people and a few things. But even then, I try not to be, too firm. I get a little upset sometimes with when drivers do crazy things. It's upsetting and costly too. I mean, that's the thing about it. That we get into a situation where it can get very costly on what we do. And if a person is doing their job and doing it right, and they're not just being too loose, I'll say, with what they're doing. I mean, my drivers need to be attentive. They need to be paying attention. I don't need somebody just lollygagging down the road and listening to the radio and not paying attention to what they're doing. We have to have people that you can relax as you drive, and I want my drivers to be somewhat relaxed, but I want them to be focused too on what's going around them. I don't want them to be distracted. And we're not supposed to be distracted with phones and everything else. I mean, well, I try not to be. I try not to be. I've got my grandson will be 14 this year. I only have the one grandchild, and I guess he's a little bit spoiled, but I don't let him get spoiled in the respect that or in the situation that he gets anything and everything he wants. I mean, we're trying to teach him some things. My son is trying to make sure that he's a good student, and which he is. He's a good student, and he plays in some sports, and he's pretty well at the top of his classes as far as his grades and everything. And I'm proud of that. I mean, if he studies hard and he gets a good education, then I think that will send him down the road as good as anything. I mean, myself, I wish that I had educated myself better. I'm fairly educated. I mean, I've got a couple of years of community college. I didn't go to one of the major universities, but I graduated high school here in my local town, and I've got a couple of years community college, and I've gone back from time to time to take courses over the years. I've taken welding courses at two different schools, one at Cleveland Tech and one at Gaston College, and I've enjoyed those. Well, my clock's My clock's telling me I've almost talked an hour, hadn't it? It's gonna. It's I've got my. Let me see if I'll spin it around here. There's my clock on the wall. That's one that I actually got that from FedEx when I've had it about 12 years. I got it for my 20-year safe driving award. That's what I got from FedEx. They actually don't give out those anymore. It's pretty nice. It's a Bulova. It's a pretty nice clock. We've really liked it. And as y'all may have seen, I haven't changed. That's manual, so that's not like my cell phones that change automatically. That one I actually have to change. Well, we'll see you, Montana. Well, guys, I'm gonna get off here too. I've spent about an hour, and that's about as much as I need to spend. I've got a lot to do. I've got to do my radio show this morning. I got to get it prepared, and I've got to. Yeah, I this is not a grandfather clock. I've got a big grandfather clock in the other room, but we're gonna head on out of here, and I'm gonna say bye to everybody and see y'all next Sunday. Now maybe I'll pop in and put something else up here too, but for right now, I'll see you next Sunday.